What is good, everyone? It's your favorite multi-cardboard selling producer, Dr. Izoki, and today I'm gonna show you, as you see by the title, my secret on how to create endless melodies and never run out of ideas. So let's get into it. Use different scales. Now look, I know what you're saying, but
Doctor, I've heard that so many times before.
I'm not talking about normal minor and major scales. There's so many more scales than you could ever imagine. The scale that I'm specifically talking about in this one, for this one, is a Lydian scale, which is a scale that is commonly used in cinematic music for that like victorious, happy, relief, vibey type of sound. It's a major scale, but it's a type of a major scale. Both minor and major have their own specific set of scales that all contribute to the main sound of those scales. You understand what I'm saying? For minor scales, for the scales that correlate back to the natural minor, they all sound different, but they all go back to that sound of sad, which is what minor is, sad and serious, and vice versa. For the major scales, they all connect back to happy, loving, to gracious, beautiful. That's the best way I could summarize it. If you want to look more into it, just search up Lydian, Phrygian, different scales. This is what a loop in A sharp Lydian sounds like. I made this kind of dance, like pop melody. Of course, it being Lydian, a form of a major scale, of course it's gonna sound poppy. So the first thing I started with was this electric Rhodes piano. It was honestly just a simple chord pluck. Instead of just keeping it like I made it vibey. I did some movement to the rhythm. This is the first chord I started with. The notes for that chord are F, A, and C. Next chord is E, A, and C. I went down one key from F to E. Then the next chord is D, F, A. I went down descending, but I kept the A note the same. Then the next chord, D, F, but instead of A, it's A sharp. I went up one key. Then at the end of that chord, I switched up the chord. I kept the root note the same with the D, but the F and A sharp I moved up. The F, I just moved it up to G, and the A sharp, I moved it all the way up to F. So it ends on a high note, literally and figuratively. All of those chords and add the plucking rhythm together, you get this. You can tell it's in a major scale, but you can also, if you've been making music for a while, you can also tell that it's not in the exact major scale. Like honestly, I was just messing around with different scales and I happened to stumble upon this scale by the way I was messing around with the chords, keys, and see what would come out of my brain. So naturally, the next thing I did was I just copy and pasted the chords into a piano, because I just heard that dance, that I just heard it, I felt it, and literally everything was the same. I just mixed up the velocities a little bit, so of course it won't sound exactly the same, because then it'll just sound robotic and unnatural, which is like, I wasn't going for that. So the piano, put it in, pause, was from Analog Lab. Sounded like this. Everything the same as the first sound. You see, it gives it that Avicii type of vibe. Rest in peace. 2 elements already, bro. That's 2 out of 5 elements. You don't have to add a different rhythm, a different melody, a different lead pattern over here, bro. One of the most important things about making melodies is layering, making it sound full and getting the emotion that you're trying to convey across in the clearest point possible without overcomplicating it too much. You want the producer that you're sending it to, producers even that you're sending it to get the vibe instantly be inspired, just like when you're inspired whenever you listen to someone else's melodies and loops. The next sound I added was a vocal. Of course, I love vocals. I already knew what kind of vocal to go for. I was going for a electronic music type of vocal, you feel me? Like something simple, something I could play around with. So I went into Exhale, favorite bank for these type of vocals, and I made this simple pattern. The first 4 bars sounded like this. It was just 3 keys. And I just kept that like that for the first 4 bars. But then to switch the vibe up a little bit, keep it not so stale, I just made a different pattern. It sounded like this. I can't really tell you how I did it because like I just did it. It's something I can't teach. I could teach you like the mechanics, the basics, you feel me? Like all these formulas. But in the end, I got to this point by just doing it. The next thing I added was a lead because of course you can't have an electronic type of melody or song in general without a lead, because the lead is what kind of sets the whole thing and is usually the most memorable part of any electronic pop dance type of record. So I went into Analog Lab. I really enjoyed the leads from there. It was a simple pattern, honestly. It was ascending and descending for the most part, feeling out, hearing out what's cool. And I got this. For the second part, I added a few more notes, moved some of them up, moved some of them down to switch up the rhythm, the vibe a little bit. And you hear that pitch bend, that was from the lead in Analog Lab. I know how to do it myself, but it's just less friction to have a sound that already does that for you, you feel me? The lead, once again, I can't really tell you how I did it because I just did it. But all I know is that it ascended, it descended, and it just sounded right. Do whatever sounds right to you in the end. But the one thing I can tell you is always keep in mind that an artist is getting on a beat with your melody, and likewise with the beat makers, you know, the producers that add the drums over your melody. You both have the same common goal, which is get an artist over it. And what do artists like most of the time? Simplicity. Keep that in mind. Simplicity is key. Simplicity is key. The last melodic element I added was an ARP from Elektra. Elektra X is goated for their ARPs. If you're looking for any spacey type of sounds, bro, Elektra X is the way to go till this day. I was thinking of a space type of setting, like the Milky Way galaxy, even though I'm pretty sure we'll burn in an instant because they're all stars, and stars are hot as the sun, and if we get near it, we'll just disintegrate. But visually, I'm talking about like visually, using my imagination, purely artistic purposes. I imagine like a blue galaxy with like stars all around and just like floating. I found this art. I just copy and pasted the lead melody, but I just extended some notes and got rid of some because I was going for more of a da, 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 instead of a ding, 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 ding. So I got this. Spacey, that was the setting I was going for. Space, dance, for this part of the loop. Just so the piano wouldn't be by itself and sound kind of too lonely, I added this impact, and it surrounds your ears just to add a little bit more character. Then I added this that I always use because it just works. Shout out Illmind. It just works every time I need to add that little something to add more character, more movement, more emotion. So it sounded like this. I just added reverb, widened it a little bit. That's really it. So those two together with the piano. In the end, I just automated a gross beat preset, the Transgate 4, because at the end of my melodies and in my loops, I always like to add something just to really switch things up a little bit and let you know that it's the end of the melody. As I said before in my previous cookups and tutorials, my top 2 favorite effects plugins for that are Thermal and Shaperbox 3, and I'd say Gross Beat is number 3. I know you've all heard the Gross Beat presets for years. You must ask yourselves, why have I heard that for so long? Why have I been hearing those same effects for so long? Because, my friend, if it's not broke, then don't fix it. There's no reason to fix it. It just made everything sound like... and it sounded like this. Yeah, bro, that's honestly really it. Very final thing I added was this impact FX in the beginning. It's very subtle, but I just like to add things that the listener will feel more than hear, but will make the biggest difference, because in the end it's all about your intention, how you feel while making your music, how you feel in the moment. What you feel, it transmutes into your music, bro. And anyone who listens to it is gonna feel what you felt while you were making it. I know it sounds all fucking hocus pocus, but it's so true, bro. Whether you believe it or not, music is a vibe. Music is a vibration. It is a form of energy, like all art is, bro. That's why it's called arts. Art is emotions transmuted into reality. Oh my gosh, that... Bro, I'm telling you, ever since I started wearing this, ever since I became a doctor, bro, I've been just like feeling so intellectual and shit, bro. I also think reading, of course, for a prolonged period of time every day, but mostly this. Dr. Izoki, don't forget the name. Final thing I added, just to add texture, make the fool. What am I even talking about? As soon as I said I feel intellectual, I made a buffoon out of myself. But the last thing I added, just to add some texture to the whole loop, was this rainforest ambience. You cannot really hear it, but you'll probably be able to hear it whenever I play the loop in the end. I always add texture because texture brings the melody to life, and it just adds that little something that makes your melody stand out from the rest. Texture really makes it seem like you put genuine time into your project. It's so subtle but so effective. And yeah, bro, that's really it. Not that many elements at all. Some simple effects. EQ literally on all the sound. Make sure the frequencies don't collide with one another and have it sound all messy. The overall, the most important thing is sound selection. As you heard here, all the sounds together, they sound like they belong together. The theme I was going for was pop, dance, space, and I just simply found sounds that resonated with that. That is the most important thing. And this was like the second or third loop I made in the same session when I was just cooking up. Mess around with different scales, bro. You never know what you'll come up with. Music is honestly limitless, bro. If you feel burnt out when making something, when creating, try something you've never tried before. It's incredible, honestly. You feel burnt out and you feel like you're making the same sound over and over again. Just switch your scale into some shit you've never heard of before. You'll be surprised on what comes out. Pause. Yeah, bro, that's really it. Let's listen to the loop, get to the outro, and so you could go along your day. The loop is in A sharp Lydian and the BPM is at 112. If you could take anything away from this video, try something you've never tried before. Get out of your comfort zone. Make no excuses for why you can't make your dreams come true. Let's get it. That's gonna do it for this video, for this tutorial, for this experience. I really would like to know what you guys like more from me, my cookups or my tutorials like this, or both. That's why like I'm fluctuating between 1 week, 2 weeks, how I made this type of loop, melody, beat, and like me just explaining my process as I go along. But I like for you guys to tell me what you like more from me, so I could get a clear vision of what kind of content I could give you guys, and to make sure that I give you nothing but the absolute best of me and my hands and what comes from my hand. I appreciate you. I love you so much, more than you could ever imagine. I am so glad that you're here and a part of the journey, bro. I'm here to help you become not just a better producer, but a better human being overall. I've dedicated my life to this. I'm gonna say it every single video, bro, because it's the honest truth. I've dedicated my life to this. Nothing else matters to me more than you guys, than helping you, teaching you, and having you be a part of my life. Get out of your comfort zone when you feel the most comfortable. And I promise you, what you make, what you create is gonna be something incredible. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I appreciate you so much. I hope you learned something. I really do. Have an incredible rest of your day or night, wherever you are in this huge world. Thank you, and see you guys in the next one. Dr. Izoki out.